A few days ago, a young man asked a question that how to control Rahu. Who is the guru of Rahu? Because you can control Rahu, you can overcome Rahu only when the sign in which Rahu is placed, that sign lord should be in good place, should be in good state, or there is one planet that should be in good condition, in good state, and then you can overcome Rahu. And all of this comes with you from your past birth cycle. Always remember, life is continuation. So whatever you are is based on what you have done before in your past birth, and whatever you will be is based on what you are doing now at this moment, moment to moment. That is what is called as kriyaman karma. And then there is prarabdha karma, which is this whole life. Prarabdha karma covers your whole life. And then there is sanchit karma. Sanchit karma is a reservoir of all your past birth cycles karma. So you see, sanchit karma is like a book. Prarabdha karma is like a chapter of that book. And that chapter is this life that you are living at this moment. So one birth or one life is that one chapter, and that is controlled by prarabdha karma. So many times you feel that, okay, I am done with all my karmic cycle, but that is not the reality. The sanchit karma of your many past births is huge. You are just living this one chapter of your life. And then there is kriyaman karma. Kriyaman karma is your day-to-day activities, your day-to-day karma. And you can always map it with your transits. So it is the kriyaman karma in which you can do some change, some positive change by bringing awareness to your being. So it is not that you can't do anything. You can do, and you can do it only if you are here and now. Only if you are able to live your life moment to moment, not thinking about your past and not worried about your future. If you are able to be here and now 100%, then you can progress and you can do something beautiful which will impact your next birth cycle in a very positive way. Once it happened, there was a great Zen master, and he was having a cup of tea, and somebody came and he bowed before the master. And the master looked into his eyes and said, "Do I know you?" He said, "No, I am coming for the very first time." So the master said, "Have a cup of tea." Now in that same monastery there was another person. So the master looked at him and said, "Do I know you?" So he said, "I am here, master, for last 20 years. So the master smiled and said, "Then have a cup of tea." And then there was a manager. And managers are very logical fellows. So the manager was not able to understand how come master is responding in the same way to both people. To a stranger also he is answering in the same way, and to a person who is with him for 20 years, the same answer, "Have a cup of tea." So the manager went ahead, he stepped ahead, and he asked, "Master, I don't know how come you answer in the same way to these two people. To one you say, 'Have a cup of tea,' to a stranger, and to a person whom you know, even to him you say the same thing, 'Have a cup of tea.' So what is, I don't get you." And then the master spontaneously said, "Manager, are you here?" And the call was so spontaneous that the manager said, "Yes, master, I am here." And then the master said, "Have a cup of tea." So the message of this story is that to be here and now, have a cup of tea. To a person who is with the master for 20 years, it doesn't matter. The master is always in the now moment. So whether you are a stranger or whether you are with the master for 20 years, everybody will get the same answer. Have a cup of tea. Be here and now. Enjoy this sip of tea. Many a times what happens when you are having your tea, you are either thinking about your past or you are thinking about your future. You are never here and now. So you are not able to be in the now moment. You miss this moment. And that is the whole beauty of this story and the message, that be here and now. Have a cup of tea. And so, coming back to this subject of how to overcome Rahu, who is the Guru of Rahu? Who is the Guru of Ketu? I have answered all these questions in my own way, and I am sure those who have been following me will definitely learn many new insights through this podcast. So let's begin. Ketu exalts in the sign of Sagittarius, the sign of Guru, Jupiter. Rahu exalts in the sign of Gemini, the sign of Mercury. On one side is righteousness, Jupiter. Jupiter is the master of Ketu. Jupiter is the Guru of Ketu. On the other side is intellectualism, Mercury. Mercury is the Guru of Rahu. Mercury is the master of Rahu. And Jupiter, Mercury are enemies of each other simply because their energies are in total contrast. Rahu, Ketu are also in contrast to each other. Rahu is intellect and Ketu is intelligence. Intellect is of the mind. Moon and Mercury impacts the mind. Intelligence is of the soul. Sun and Jupiter impact the soul. The more consciousness you have, the more energy flows upwards. Intelligence moves upwards. Intellect moves downwards. Once it happened, there were two disciples, Sohan and Mohan. Mohan was a very simple man. The master would fondly address him as Bhola. He was an illiterate man, never had been to school, never had been to any town. He was a farmer. One day, he found the master walking through his farmland, and something moved within him, the glow of the master, his bliss, his joy, his peace. There was something about this man. He could feel the presence, and then he simply dropped everything. He left everything behind and he started following the master. The master said, "What are you doing? Go back home." But Mohan said, "You are my home. After so many years, I have found my home, and you are saying to go back home? You are my home, and I cannot go back." The master smiled. He was accepted. Mohan became an ardent lover of the master. Along with Sohan, Mohan continued to follow the master. After many years, one day Mohan and Sohan said to the master, "We need to be initiated. When will you initiate us?" The master said, "I will initiate you both, but before that happens, I want you to do something." Sohan said, "I am ready." Mohan said, "Master, you just tell me what I have to do, and I am certain that I will be through it with your grace." The master gave one bird to each disciple and said, "Go to an absolutely lonely place where there are no people, and then kill the bird. And once you have killed the bird, come back." Sohan took the bird, went out in search of a lonely place, found one place, looked around to ensure that nobody is around, and then with a sharp knife killed the bird. He comes back to the master and says, "I am done. I have followed your instructions accurately." The master says, "Wait, let Mohan come back too. He is still to come back." But Mohan did not return. Days passed, weeks passed, months, and yet Mohan did not return. And the master waited. The master can always wait. And one day, on a very hot afternoon, Mohan returned. He comes, bows before the master, and the master is deeply engrossed in meditation. Looking at Mohan, the master smiled and said, "Where have you been? And why it took so long for you to come back?" Mohan rushed towards the feet of the master, and holding the feet of the master in his hands, he started crying. Master said, "What happened?" Mohan said, "I am sorry. I cannot follow your instruction. I could not kill the bird." "Why?" asked the master, his eyes twinkling with light. Mohan said, "I took the bird everywhere, to the mountains, to the deep valleys, to the most lonely places, and yet I could not find any of these places to be lonely. Whenever I would try to kill the bird, I could feel that there is God who is watching. I tried to close my eyes, and yet I could not kill because I could feel the presence of God. I drugged the bird, made it unconscious, and yet I could not kill because I could feel God present in that bird too. I am sorry. I cannot do this. If this is the condition for initiation, then I am willing to let go. But I cannot do this because I could feel God present all around me, within me, outside me, and so there was absolutely no lonely place that I could find. I also experienced the presence of God in that bird, its innocence, its chirping, its dancing. I am sorry, but I cannot do this. And I tried for months and weeks, but I could not. It is okay if you don't initiate me, but I cannot do this. The master got up, rushed towards Mohan, and gave him a tight hug. The master said to Mohan, "You are the chosen one, my son, you are the one. It was a test and you have passed." Then he called Sohan and said, "You get out, get lost, and never come back. You are stupid. You will never understand what I teach. You will never understand the essence that I share. You please get lost." Sohan is Rahu. He goes by the intellect. He could not go to the depth of the matter. He could not relate to the essence of the master's teaching. He simply followed the head, went out and killed the bird. Mohan is Ketu. He has a tremendous sensitivity because there is absolutely no head, no intellect, and because there is no head, no intellect, there is abundance of heart energy. And it is his heart that won't let him kill the bird. He goes all around the world but could not kill the bird. The heart won't let. The consciousness won't let him to kill the bird. He had truly matured to be initiated. His consciousness made him realize that God is present everywhere, within and without, and that was what the Guru, the Master, wanted to test. And Mohan had passed the test. The Master had finally taken him under his wings. Jupiter loves Ketu. Mercury loves Rahu, and the whole story is divided in two parts. The whole world of human beings is divided in two parts, heart and head. The Devatas dwell in the heart. The Asuras, Bhogi, dwell in the head. And for millions and millions of years, the friction has always been happening between these two sides. And it is going to happen forever because they are two contrast energies, two polarities that can never get along with each other. Hitler will not understand Buddha's love. In this material world, in every house, in every family, at every workplace, there is someone who is a Hitler, who is a Judas, and there is someone who is a Buddha, a Mahavira. Every birth chart is either inclining towards Rahu or towards Ketu. Every birth chart is either a Hitler, a Judas, or a Buddha, a Mahavira. And the whole gamut of your life results are based on which side your birth chart is. And that is the real secret. That is the reason why the ancient seers and sages have given immense importance to Rahu and Ketu over all other planets. Because first it has to be decided if you can kill the bird or you cannot. If you cannot, then the consciousness is present. If you cannot, then the higher love is present. If you cannot, then the heart is over the head. And such a man, such a woman is welcomed in the kingdom of God, in the kingdom of Jupiter. If you can kill, then ignorance is at peak. If you can kill, then the lower love is all that is present. If you can, then the head is over the heart. And such a man, such a woman is not welcome because they simply cannot understand the language of the heart, the language of love. And God is love, and love is real. Mercury presides over Rahu, and that is why Lord Vishnu should be worshipped if you are going through Rahu difficulties. If Mercury is very strong in your birth chart, if Mercury is very positive in your birth chart, and if your moon is also in a good place, in a good house, then Rahu or Rahu Mahadasha will not affect you much negatively. But if moon is afflicted, if Mercury is afflicted, then whenever you fall in Rahu Mahadasha, whenever Rahu goes through certain difficult transits in your birth chart, you will suffer tremendously because your Mercury is not in good shape. Lord Vishnu is directly connected with Mercury. And after all, it was Sri Vishnu who beheaded the Asura Rahu. Jupiter presides over Ketu, and that is why Lord Ganesha should be worshipped if you are unable to relate to the message of Ketu, the message of turning inwards. Lord Shiva should be worshipped to realize the immense significance of living your life selflessly and by being more and more and more detached. Marriages fail when the energies are in contrast. One is Rahuish while the other is Ketuish. But strange things happen. One day a young man, and his name was Gopal, he came and said, I have fallen in love with a woman and I cannot help. I want to marry her. The master said, come tomorrow. It is very late. He came the next day. The master went into deep meditation and then said to Gopal, this marriage will not work. You are getting yourself in a deep mess. But attraction brings ignorance. The man was attracted. He married the woman and then began the many miseries of his life. Then he could not sleep with peace. Then he could not find his joy. Then he became a plastic rose. The fragrance was lost. The master remembered the young Gopal, a very lively man, a honest man, a man of heart, his innocence, his compassion, and what a beautiful person he was. But with one wrong move, the same Gopal had turned into a miserable man. A man who was no more willing to live, a man who once was full of life, was now thinking of giving up life. Life can change 360 degrees towards the deepest valleys. If you fall for your temptations, if you fall for attractions, if you fall by following your mind. And the same life can change 360 degrees towards the highest peak if you rise above your temptations, if you remain indifferent towards attractions, if you rise above your mind. Rahu traps you. Suffocation happens when you yourself get into the tight clutches of Rahu. This Rahu is your desires, and desires lead to ignorance. Ketu relieves you. A man moving towards Ketu becomes more and more and more detached. He becomes a Buddha. You cannot distract him. You cannot attract him. Rahu exalts not just in Gemini, but also is empowered when he is in the nakshatra of Mercury. Rahu is empowered in Ashlesha, in Jeshta, and in Revati nakshatra. Whenever Rahu is in Ashlesha, Jyeshta or Revati, he is empowered to give more intense results. If Rahu is placed well, he may benefit. If Rahu is not placed well, he may do what he likes the most, that is to cause more harm. Ketu exalts not just in Sagittarius but also is empowered when Ketu is in the nakshatra of Jupiter. Ketu is empowered in Punarvasu, in Vishaka, in Purva Bhadrapad nakshatra. Depending on which side the birth chart is inclining, an empowered Ketu will manifest the results. If the chart is on the Ketu side, then whenever Ketu is in Punarvasu, Vishaka or Purva Bhadrapad, you will benefit. But if the chart is Rahuish, then the same empowered Ketu appears as a hurdle because you are pressing channel number 1 for happiness when the real button on your remote is not channel number 1 but channel number 9. People are running behind matchmaking. They match everything: moon sign, sun sign, ascendant, gunas, everything is matched, but they simply miss to see if the man and woman who are planning to marry fall in the same category of Ketu or Rahu. A Rahuish man and a Rahuish woman can stay together. The marriage generally works because both belong to the same world, the world of Rahu. But if you are Ketuish and you are marrying a Rahuish woman, then you are in for a trouble, a deep trouble. Young Gopal was suffering in his marriage because he was a Ketuish man and he had fallen for a woman who was Rahuish. He was not willing to listen. The master said to him twice. He alerted him, but he went ahead and got married. And now he is suffering. He is miserable. And now he comes to the master. The master says, "It is not late. It is never late. Even if you wake up at the very last moment of your life, it is enough to bring a positive change. But now if you want to come out of this marriage, you will need courage. Courage to face all the consequences whatsoever." Rahu obstructs the courage within you. I have seen many men and women who suffer in marriage, but they cannot get out of it because they lack the courage. They fear. They are so much trapped in the clutches of Rahu that they appear totally impotent in making any move towards freedom, real freedom. Always remember, fear is a reaction. Courage is a decision. Rahu is fear, Ketu is courage. What stops you from coming out of a marriage that is full of miseries and humiliation is your fear, Rahu. And what can help you to come out of a marriage that is full of miseries and humiliation is your courage, and that is Ketu. Ketu therefore exalts in the most courageous sign, the sign of Sagittarius. It is a sign of a warrior. You better watch, you better be careful when you are dealing with a Sagittarius, for he or she has the courage to fight back and find freedom. Remember, the secret to happiness is freedom. And the secret to freedom is courage. Courage is an affair with the unknown. You don't know what is going to happen. What matters to you is the purpose. And if your purpose is to get out of a failing marriage or a failing job, then the key is Ketu, courage. Life is simple. Astrology is also simple. because God is simple and truth is simply found in simplicity. Beauty is found in simplicity. The basic laws of the universe are simple, says Albert Einstein. But because our senses are limited, we can't grasp them. There is a pattern in creation. A simple man, a simple woman, and they are beautiful. They can understand the language of the heart. And astrology is indeed the language of the heart. Without thinking of the letters, listen to the language of the heart, says Rumi. But who wants to listen? The man of head, intellectual, goes round and round and round, and yet finds himself exactly at the point where he had started. The head cannot find the answer, the heart can. If your heart says take the jump, then take the jump, then risk, then be adventurous. Your heart is natural. It is a born gift, but your mind is not natural. It is given by the society. You are not born with the mind, but you are born with the heart. And the heart has it all. The heart is the most beautiful gift. Every heart is beautiful. But what makes it impure and ugly is the mind. And that is the whole message of my sharing. That is the whole message of the Master. That is the whole message of Sri Ketu. Get out of your head and get inside your heart. Think less and feel more. But the majority is caught up in thinking too much, and then they come and ask, why my life is so miserable? The fault is not with the life, the fault is with yourself. Life is like a beautiful flowing river. If you can flow with it, if you can swim through it, then you can enjoy the journey. The whole effort of the Divine Masters is simply to help you all to enjoy the journey by turning inwards, meditating, and making yourself more and more aware by introducing higher realms of consciousness to your awareness. The key to growth is the introduction of higher dimensions of consciousness into our awareness, says Lao Tzu. Growth comes not by a fat bank balance, but by bringing a great transformation within you, by raising the level of consciousness within you. Once you become aware, once the light of consciousness becomes a flame, then it burns all the ignorance within you. And so come you all and spend some quality time with yourself. Spend some time in meditation. If you have too many people at home, find a secluded place outside your home. But seclusion is required. The mind is sharper and keener in seclusion and uninterrupted solitude. Originality thrives in seclusion free of outside influences beating upon us to cripple the creative mind. Be alone, that is the secret of invention. Be alone, that is when ideas are born, says Nikola Tesla, one of the greatest scientists of this human world. In seclusion, you will be able to quiet the chattering mind. Seclusion is necessary for meditation. Go into seclusion and rest your mind on the silence. Ketu loves seclusion. Ketu is home in a secluded place, and that is why Ketu feels home in the 12th house. The house of seclusion, the natural house of Jupiter, the master. Ketu is beautiful, simply beautiful, only if you can resonate with its energy, only if your antenna is placed at the right direction. And the direction of the master, of the guru is simple: turn inwards and master yourself. The control that you are seeking on the outside is not possible. Many have tried and many have failed miserably, because the control that you seek is possible only within and not on the outside. Lao Tzu says, knowing others is intelligence, knowing yourself is true wisdom. Mastering others is strength. Mastering yourself is true power. If you realize that you have enough, you are truly rich. A man of Ketu is a man who is content with what he has. He is a man of awareness. He lives moment to moment because he is perfectly aware that life is now. Life is neither in the past and nor in the future. Life is now, and his whole effort, his whole direction is simply to be here now. Meditation happens only when you are here and now. When you are able to still your mind in the present moment, only then meditation happens. Only then the bird starts blossoming into a beautiful flower. And so the whole focus should be to be here now. Be here now, says Ram Das, the closest disciple of Neem Karoli Baba. The blessings of the benevolent, compassionate Guru and the support of Sri Ketu enables you to be here now. A certain depth to your meditations and to your spiritual journey comes when you become compassionate towards others, when you help those who are in need. Dalai Lama says, our prime purpose in this life is to help others. And if you can't help them, at least don't hurt them. Meditation is the key, but the key works only when you are helpful to others, when you are compassionate towards others. It is all interlinked. It is all linked in. The great spiritual master, Avatar Meher Baba, says, no amount of prayer or meditation can do what helping others can do. And so, along with your meditations, along with your chanting, you should also help those who are in need and who deserve your help. And so, there should be a balance, and balance is possible when you do positive karma, when you help others, and at the same time, you also focus on your self-growth by meditating and chanting every day. And once you find balance, once your actions fall in place, then meditation starts blossoming. Then the dance begins, then the song is heard, then life starts changing, then everything around you will be the same, but you will be no more the same. Then there will be a song to it, then life will start transforming into a garden of bliss. The key is meditation, and the key is with you all. It has been with you all from the very beginning of time. Many births have passed by. This birth is also passing by. The sooner you all become aware, the better it is going to be. Always remember, your moment goes on shaping, and the shape that it eventually takes becomes your future. So the moment is of great significance. We remember life by remembering the moments of our life and not the days. Focus on the moment. A man of awareness lives totally in the moment, present moment. Awareness means to be in the moment, in the present moment. A man of awareness is always found to be in the moment. Be a man of awareness. Let awareness become the torch of your life, and then you will find your answers. Meditate. Jai Sri Ganesha. Jai Guru. Om Gam Ganapataye Namaha. Om Gam Ganapataye Namaha. Om Gam Ganapataye Namaha.